So I will start this session by invoking prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namite. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we'll begin today's session. So before we begin today, we'll just have a quick recap of what we did last week. Yes. So this is what we did last week. The gods, the demons, and the humans. So we discussed about the qualities of godly people, the qualities of demonic people from Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter. We had discussion on these two topics. And then we had a discussion on the birth of the Kuru elders, starting from Shantanu, how he was born, and then Bhishma, Devavrata was called as Devavrata, then he became Bhishma, then the birth of Dhritarashtra, Pandu, Vidura. So they are the Kuru elders. And later on, we also discussed the divine birth of Pandavas, namely Yudhishthir, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva. So these 5 Pandavas are born. So, and they are all of divine origin. They are born by the blessings of Durvasa, and they are all demigods, the portion of the demigods who came to this world to assist in the Lord's pastime. And we also discussed the birth of the Kauravas, the 100 Kauravas, 101 actually, with Dushala and their sister. So headed these 100 Kauravas were headed by Duryodhan and Dushasana. And we saw that how when Duryodhana was born, there was inauspicious signs in the atmosphere, and he was advised that one should give up this child. But Dhritarashtra did not listen because he was attached to this son, and he became the cause of destruction of the entire dynasty of the Kauravas. And we also discussed the appearance of Lord Krishna. From Shurasena, there was a son called Vasudeva, and Vasudeva's son is Krishna. So that we saw in the previous session. Okay. So we'll not get into the details. Oh, somebody is saying I'm not audible. Is my voice audible? Okay, you're able to hear. Yeah. So those who are, sir, I request Saraswati Mother, you can check your earphone connection and all. Yeah. So, okay, many of you are able to hear very clearly. Okay. So if there is any problem, please let me know. So then we'll correct the situation. Okay. So it is very clear. So those who are not able to hear clearly, I request you can check your earphone connections if there is any loose connection. And even in the Zoom, you have to check which output you are giving for the audio. So then you can have a clear audio. So we'll go ahead with the today's session. So today's session, I had named it as the Kauravas atrocities. Of course, they start doing the atrocities against the Pandavas in Mahabharata in today's session. But we are going to discuss more things today. So today we are going to discuss about how Bhima was poisoned and how Dronacharya becomes the guru of the Pandavas and Ekalavya, So we'll have a discussion on character versus competence. And bird's eye, the challenge given with Dronacharya. We'll discuss something about concentration and dedication. The martial exhibition, and also the Guru Dakshina. So we'll discuss these things today. So let's start with the first thing. Bhima poisoned. So the poisoning of Bhima is an episode which comes in Mahabharata when the Pandavas return back to Hastinapura. So the Pandavas, as you know, they were staying with their father. Father was an ascetic. He was very interested in performing austerities, performing tapasya. So he had gone to the forest, and the five Pandavas were born in the forest. So in the forest, when Pandu died, so the Pandavas were advised by the rishis that you go to the kingdom of Hastinapur, stay under the custody of your Dhritarashtra, your uncle. So the Pandavas were taken to Hastinapur and they stayed, and they were actually welcomed very in a grand way into Hastinapur, knowing that his father has passed away. So they stayed in Hastinapur as children. And Yudhishthir was supposed to be the king. He was supposed to be the rightful king for the throne because Pandu was the king. Pandu was the father, and he was the king. He's supposed to be the king. But after Pandu died, Yudhishthir was supposed to be the king. But here, uh, Dhritarashtra, being attached to the kingdom, he did not want to give the kingdom. So he kept it with him. So he sat on the chair and he started ruling the kingdom. And he had a secret desire in his heart that my sons, Duryodhana, and others should rule the kingdom. So that was his intention. And especially when the Pandavas started staying inside Hastinapur, the people saw the good qualities of Yudhishthira Maharaj. He was so truthful, so obedient, so humble, so respectful to everybody, so compassionate. Seeing the good qualities of Yudhishthira Maharaj and all the Pandavas, so the people started loving them. They started loving them more than the Kauravas. And Duryodhana especially was getting envious, seeing the fame of the Pandavas. And he was secretly harboring envy and malice towards them. And also, the Pandavas were also exceptionally powerful, especially Bhima. It is said that sometimes Bhima will be playing with all the Kauravas, the friends, like they play, cousins play with each other. Sometimes Bhima will lift everybody together and then carry them and sometimes push them. So he was so extremely powerful that Kauravas' envy increased further, especially Duryodhana's envy started increasing more and more and more. And he felt this is too much. He could not tolerate this. So he went to Shakuni and told Shakuni, my dear uncle, I'm seeing that Bhima and Pandavas are so extremely powerful. If we allow them to live like this, surely they will overpower us and they will become the kings. Please give some advice what to do. So then Shakuni said, Shakuni was a very evil motivated personality. Actually, he did not like Bhishma because Bhishma got Gandhari married to Dhritarashtra and Dhritarashtra was blind. So he did not like it. So he wanted to trouble Bhishma. He wanted to cause pain to Bhishma. So, and he felt that if Pandavas, we cause pain to the Pandavas, and because Pandavas are very dear to Bhishma, so Bhishma will also feel the pain. So he said to Duryodhan that you should kill Bhima. Then he asked how we should kill. He said, you make poison, mix it in the food, and then you feed them. And in this way, especially Bhima you feed, and Bhima will die. Then you can throw him in the water. So like this, they made a plot. So Duryodhan, Dushasan, Shakuni, they made a plot. So once all the friends, all the cousins, they went to play on the bank of the river Yamuna. So there, on the bank of the river, they had constructed a very beautiful palatial building made of white marble. And this palatial building had inside courtyard, with a lot of nice garden, flower plants and trees, and there are nice ponds also inside. So they were enjoying this place very much. So everybody was enjoying, and then Duryodhana said, "So it's time for eating now. Let's sit for lunch." So then everybody came and sat, and Duryodhana personally had mixed poison into Bhima's food. He personally brought and he served Bhima. He said, "You please eat this." Then Bhima innocently, he did not know what is there in that, so he ate, started eating. He ate rice, dal, sabji, kachori, sweets, and everything, puri, cakes, and everything he ate, and nothing happened. And Duryodhana is wondering, "Hey, what happened? He is not dying." So then they continued playing. So Bhima started going, sporting into the water, splashing water, and whole till the evening he was playing, 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 and nothing happened. There's no sign of fatigue. So then finally, when the evening came, uh, after when the sunset happened, at that time Bhima started feeling little drowsy, and all the Duryodhana said, "Everybody, let's go into the home and let's rest." So everybody went inside the palatial building, and they want prepared for taking rest. And his Duryodhana, Bhima was lying on the bank of the river. He felt little drowsy and he slept there only. So then Dushasana and Duryodhana thought, "This is a very good opportunity. Let's catch him and throw him in the water." So they went and secretly pushed him in the water, and Bhima fell into the water. Mm. And when he fell into the water, he went down drowning inside the water. And when he went inside, because of the poison's effect, he was unconscious. So he went there down, and through the channels of the water, he was taken to the uh, Nagaloka. So there are secret channels in the holy rivers through which one can go to the um, different places also. Right? Srila Prabhupada used to say that there are some yogis even now who can take bath, who will take bath in Ganga and get up in Godavari. So there are secret connections which only the very elevated mystic yogis can have access to. So in this way, Bhima went to Nagaloka. And in Nagaloka, when the Nagas saw that a foreigner is coming, so when they saw that this Bhima is coming, they immediately start stinging him with his fangs. And after stinging with the fangs, uh, Bhima, the poison which was there in Bhima's body got neutralized. And when the poison got neutralized, Bhima came back to consciousness. And he saw all these snakes um, biting him. Then he became angry and he took his sword and he started cutting all of them. Like you can see in this photograph. So Bhima is coming and the snakes are biting him. And Bhima got up and then he started killing all these Nagas. And when Vasuki, the king of the Nagas, heard that Bhima has got injured, somebody is injuring our Nagas, so he rushed there to the place, and even his commander Arka also rushed there, and both of them saw what is happening. Then his commander Arka could immediately recognize there is this Bhima. He's one of the Pandavas. He's a great devotee because this Arka was a great grandfather of Kunti Maharani. So he could easily recognize Bhima. So he had stayed in the earthly planet before. So when he told Vasuki that he is a Pandava, so Vasuki welcomed him into the Nagaloka, and they gave him wonderful reception, and again they gave him nice food to eat. And then after that they said, "We'll give you a very wonderful drink made of medicinal herbs. This drink is extracted Hare Krishna, I'm back. Some connection issue, I think. Yeah. So, I think I was telling about Bhima. So Bhima got, so they took him. Yeah, they had a very wonderful reception, and then they gave him very wonderfully extracted drink, herbal drink, and they said that anybody drinks this, they will be getting the strength of thousands of elephants. So they gave Bhima. So they had a full jug of drink, and they gave one glass. So Bhima drank it at once without stopping. Gada, 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 he drank. And one drink can give the strength of 10,000 elephants, and it's difficult to digest also. So what Bhima did, he took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 glasses he drank. And they were surprised. They were seeing in shock. How can this child drink so much? Right? If you remember, no, Bhima had such a strength that when he fell from the top of the mountain, the stone broke. So without drinking only, he was so powerful. Now after drinking, what will happen? So after drinking, he felt drowsy and he slept. Like sometimes if you eat a lot of ghee, you feel drowsy and you go to sleep, isn't it? So similarly here he went to sleep and he slept for, I think, 8 days. Non-stop 8 days he slept. And after 8 days he got up and opened his eyes and he saw, he felt very energetic, strong. And Vasuki told him, now you have got the strength of 10,000 elephants. Hmm? It means what? You put 10,000 elephants in a row and Bhima will hit the first one and the last one will fall. That is strength of 10,000 elephants. So, and Bhima, they told Bhima, that see, you can go back now. They gave him very beautiful, fresh, white clothes and they fed him nice feast. And then they said, no, you can go back. So they personally brought him up onto the land. And then Bhima started going towards his home, Hastinapur. So now, here in Hastinapur, Kunti was getting anxiety. 8 days passed and they have not seen Bhima. Yudhishthir, Arjun, Nakul, Sahadev, Vidura, everybody was searching. Where is Bhima? Where is Bhima? And Kunti asked Vidura, Vidura, what must have happened to Bhima? Is he alive? I feel that Duryodhana must have done something. So Vidura was also in anxiety, but he said that Vyasadeva has predicted that your sons will be exceptionally powerful. Your sons will be so powerful that um, they will live a long life and they'll have become the emperors. So in that way, that prediction is there. So have faith in that. Bhima will surely come back. And like this, when they were discussing, Bhima entered into the city, and the news spread everywhere that Bhima has come. Bhima has come. And Kunti Devi went and embraced Bhima, crying tears of love. Where were you? Where were you, Bhima? So then he welcomed. And then Bhima told everything to Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas. And Yudhishthira said, let's not tell this to anybody. Let's keep it secret with us. So in this way, uh, Yudhishthira and others, they said, let's be very careful because anything can happen at any time. So in that way, the Pandavas lived with utmost care and attention in the while living in Hastinapur. So at that time, um, Bhishma feels that it is the time to educate our children. So there was one great sage, Acharya, called Kripacharya, and they chose him to be the guru for these children, and he started teaching certain things. So to the and Kripacharya was the son of great sage called Sharadvan, who was the son of Gautama Rishi. And Kripacharya had very great birth, and he was appointed by Shantanu as the Kulaguru for the entire Kuru Vamsha. So Kripacharya was teaching certain things, but Bhishma thought that Kripacharya is teaching certainly, but he is not very expert in celestial weaponaries, in archery and martial arts. Right? So we need some martial arts guru for our Kauravas because we want to make our community very strong. Then we should also learn warfare, so martial arts. So he was thinking like this. So one day, what happened? All these children were playing. And while playing, they were playing with a ball, and the ball fell into a well. And the children were not able to take it out because the well was very deep. And they were wondering how to take it out. So, like this, they were discussing among themselves. They're trying to put the rope and pull it out, and many things they must have tried, but they could not take it out. So then finally, at the time, one very effulgent Brahmana came there, and he asked, "What's the issue?" And they said, "Our ball has fallen here. Okay, we want to take it out." Oh, the simple thing. You are Kauravas. You are coming in the dynasty, great dynasty. You can't do small thing. Wait, I will do it. He said. So I will do. If I take out the ball, then you should give me some service in Hastinapur. That's what they said. Yudhishthira said, okay, okay, we'll do it. Then Dronacharya took a grass and he chanted some mantra and invested the power of the mantra into the grass and then throwed it, shot it at the ball. And then the grass hit the ball. Then he took another grass and whatever grass he had hit before, he hit it behind. So like this, he made an entire rope starting from the ball up to the top. And then he carefully pulled it up. Then he showed the ball. And Pandavas are so happy. They became so excited seeing this exhibition of such a great power. So they went and told, they were excited, and in their excitement, they went and told Bhishma, 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 we met a very amazing person today. He took out the ball from inside the well. And Bhishma asked, hey, who is that personality? How does he look? And when they described, Bhishma understood. It is Dronacharya. So Dronacharya became the Acharya of the Kauravas. Yeah, so is visible? Yeah. So here you will see he's taking out the ball from inside the well with just grasses. So actually Dronacharya was the son of Bharadwaja Rishi, and he was born in a drone, in a pot. So that's why it's called as Drona. And Dronacharya married the sister of Kripacharya, whose name was Kripi. So Dronacharya and Kripi, they got a son whose name was Ashwathama, because it is said that when he was born, he made the sound of a horse. He neighed like a horse, Ashwa. So Ashwathama is his name. So in this way, this family was staying, and they were very poor, and Dronacharya could not provide for the wonderful facilities for his child Ashwathama. And he saw that other children were getting nice food, but Ashwathama was not getting nice food. He had not even tasted milk because he did not have milk, right? And he went searching for a cow to get the milk, but nobody gave him a cow. Seeing that, he was very disappointed. And one day Ashwathama was demanding milk. I want milk. I want milk. So then Dronacharya said, okay, I cannot. But so they mixed some rice in water, rice powder in water, and made it look white, liquid. And they said, drink this. And he was very happy. This is milk. This is milk. So in this way, Dronacharya is feeling bad that he is not able to provide for his family. So it came to take some employment. Actually, Dronacharya is a Brahmana. He should not take employment, but still, out of necessity, he took to this uh, employment under the Kurus. And Dronacharya was appointed as martial arts teacher, special martial arts teacher, because Dronacharya had learnt martial arts from Parashurama. And Parashurama, is most exceptionally powerful personality who went all around the world 21 times and killed all the Kshatriyas 21 times. Such a exceptionally powerful. He'd take an axe in his hand and go everywhere. And because the Kshatriyas had become corrupt, the leaders had become corrupt, so in order to teach them a lesson, he went everywhere and chopped them off. And he gave the land to the Brahmanas. So Dronacharya went to Parashurama and requested, I want wealth from you. Parashuram said, I conquered all the kingdoms. I had a lot of wealth, but I gave it all to Brahmanas because Brahmanas are pure. I thought they can rule the kingdom. So I gave it to them. I have nothing. Now I only have my body and my powers. What do you want? And Dronacharya said, give me your powers and knowledge. So he gave the entire knowledge to the Dronacharya, and including the knowledge of Brahmastra, which is the most powerful astra in the entire creation. So he gave this, and Dronacharya returned back. So then he takes up employment under Kuru Vamsha in Hastinapura, and he remained loyal to the throne of Hastinapur, and he agreed to the conditions of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. So now, when he accepted, became the teacher of the Kurus, he said that I will teach everything to you, but at the end, I will ask you for a Guru Dakshina, and you have to give me that Guru Dakshina. So they all said, yes, we agree to give that Guru Dakshina. So in this way, Dronacharya started teaching all the wonderful skills to the Pandavas and Kauravas. He was teaching to both of them. And whoever was good in whichever arts, he was teaching them that. Like Duryodhana and Bhima, they became expert in mace fighting. They'll take Gada and they'll fight with the Gada. And they will also, and Arjuna became expert in archery. Right. In this way, Yudhishthira became expert in spear fighting, throwing a spear. And Nakul Sahdev became expert in sword fighting. So in this way, everybody became expert in different things. And Dronacharya, he knew everything. Actually, teacher means he knows many things. And according to the capacity of the student, he will teach them accordingly. Right. So that's how the teacher should be. And not like the now modern education system. In modern education system, everybody is taught, become an engineer or become a doctor. That's all. So it's so narrow-minded teaching. There is no scope for creativity or scope for engaging one's talents and growing one's talents. Many people are good in different things, right? Somebody is good in arts, somebody is good in painting, somebody is good in dance, somebody is good in speaking, somebody is good in organizing, managing, planning, and somebody is so like this different things. Somebody may become a doctor also, somebody become an engineer also. So a person should be encouraged according to his nature, then he'll be happy. But nowadays everybody is pushed, the children are pushed in one line. When they come to 8th standard, 9th standard, IIT, get into IIT. He may have some other interest also, why pushing into one line? So because of that, children find a lot of pressure, and eventually in the career also, they may not find that satisfaction or happiness. So in the traditional Gurukul system, it is not like this. According to the nature of the students, he was encouraged. Right? Somebody is good in singing, okay, you become a singer. So what is harming becoming a singer? So in this way, it was encouraged. So that was a very natural system. What we have now in the modern education is an unnatural system. It's like a factory. Put the child here and he'll come like an engineer, or you put here and he'll become a doctor. Like that, it become like a factory production. So it is not the system in the past. So Dronacharya very expertly taught everyone wonderful skills. And in this way, so they were learning, and especially Dronacharya's favorite student was Arjuna. And he told that Arjuna, I'll make you the best martial arts personality. So in this way, he was teaching wonderful things. But he also had affection for his son, Ashwatthama. He also wanted his son to be exceptional. So sometimes Dronacharya will give a challenge. He will say, go and bring water from the pots. So he will give different pots to everybody, and you have to run and fill the pot and come back fast. So when you are filling the pot, the time taken to fill depends upon the size of the mouth. Isn't it? If the size of the mouth is small, then it takes a lot of time to fill the water inside. But if the mouth is big, you can quickly fill the water. So when he gave pots to everybody, he gave Ashwatthama the bigger mouth pot with the bigger mouth, so that he can quickly fill and bring it. So when Arjuna saw this, he felt, hey, this is not fair. So what he did, he invoked a mantra and produced water. In that way, he quickly filled up the pot. And Dronacharya saw this and he smiled. He was very intelligent. So seeing this eagerness of Arjuna to learn, so he Dronacharya promised that I'll make you the best archer in the world. So in this way, it was going on. So one day, the Pandavas, they were going in the forest and they saw that a dog, hmm, its mouth was filled with arrows and there is not even a drop of blood coming from the mouth. And they were wondering who has shot the arrows at the in the dog's mouth like this. And they went searching and came to one person who was shooting arrows, was practicing archery, and he had kept the murti of Dronacharya. He had made a murti of Dronacharya and he was practicing. So his name was Ekalavya. So seeing this, the Pandavas, the Kurus get uh, they think, hey, what is this? Who is this personality who is worshipping Dronacharya and who is proving to be better than us? So they went running to Dronacharya and informed that such and such personality is practicing archery and is becoming better than any of us. So when they heard this, when Dronacharya heard this, he came running and he said, uh, he asked, hey, this is Ekalavya. Actually, Ekalavya had gone to Dronacharya and he had requested, no, can I learn under you? I want to accept you as my guru. And Dronacharya rejected. Now, here is a very controversial point. Some people think that why did Dronacharya refuse Ekalavya? Because he was born in a low caste? Hmm. So people have the misconception that based on the caste, the discrimination was made. Low caste people were oppressed, they were subjugated, and the high class people, they were given higher treatment. And in this way, there are a lot of social discrimination happening in the society at that time. Hmm. So somebody is commenting, not because of low caste. Huh? Somebody has commented, I joined late. Can you please tell from first? Oh, we are already half an hour into the session. We'll share you the recording. You can hear the recording from the beginning. Hmm. So, Dronacharya, when he saw Ekalavya, Ekalavya was from a Nishada community. Hmm. Nishada community, and he was, and the Nishadas, they actually were not in favor of the Kuru Vamsha. They were little against Kuru Vamsha. And Dronacharya thought that if Ekalavya learns these skills, then he may become a threat for the prestigious Kuru Vamsha. And the Nishadas, they do not have a right mentality. They just want to show their prowess. They are not at all, they don't know what is Dharma and they don't know how to protect Dharma. So that's why Dronacharya had refused to teach him using this as a reason. Actually, he said that you are not a Kshatriya, that's why it is. That was the external reason. But the internal reason was that Dronacharya thought that he may become a threat for the Pandavas who are dharmic, who are following Dharma. So here comes some points of discussion. We'll try to see some points here. Who was Ekalavya? He was son of a Nishada, and he was actually he was not even belonging to any varna or ashrama. He was outside of that. He was a kind of a forest tribal. And what was his motive for learning archery? His motive was just to show his prowess. He did not want to learn archery or martial skills for protecting dharma. But on the other hand, you will see Arjuna was learning all these skills from his guru to protect the dharma. Right? So that was the motivation of the Pandavas. Pandavas wanted to get trained so that they can maintain dharma. That is a quality of a ideal Kshatriya, not just to show the power. But Ekalavya wanted to show the power. That was the reason. So what was the criteria for education in Gurukul? The criteria for education in Gurukul was not skills. It was what is the motivation or the character of the person. That was taken into consideration, not the um, skills. A person may be skilled, but what use is the skill if he is not able to use it properly? Right? So here I'll just read one thing. how one mastered the art of shooting is not as relevant as how one chooses to apply it. How one has mastered the art of shooting is not as relevant as how one chooses to apply it. Like, for example, some person may be very skilled in archery, okay, in anything. If he is very skilled, it doesn't mean that he is superior. Who is better? A person who uses the skill for the right purpose. He is superior, right? So, for example, um, suppose a terrorist is there and he is very expert in shooting, and he uses the shooting skill to kill innocent people. Is that better? Not at all. But instead, a soldier who may not be as skilled as a terrorist, but he is using his talent for protecting the country, he is much better because his motivation, his purpose is correct. But on the other hand, the purpose of um, terrorist is not correct. So the purpose for which you use the knowledge is more important than just gaining the knowledge. Like, for example, there are somebody is commenting here, son of Hiranyadhanus. Yeah, that's correct. So Hiranyadhanus was the king of the Nishadas. So he was the one. Um, so in this way, I heard that Ekale was born as Drushtadimna. No, no, not at all. Yeah. So Krishna killed Ekalavya. That's correct. So now whom does Krishna kill? So Krishna kills only demons. So if somebody is killed by Krishna, means he must be having a demonic mentality. So demons may be skilled, but their mentality is wrong. So their mentality makes them a demon. So here, Ekalavya, although he was skilled in archery, but his consciousness was not divine. So that's why Dronacharya had told that don't learn this archery. But still, independently, he started learning, keeping the photo of his guru or murti of his guru. He started practicing archery. So Eklavya sacrificing the thumb. So when Dronacharya came there and he saw that he is practicing, he felt it to be a threat. So then he said, okay, so if you claim yourself to be my student, then you should give me dakshina. And what is the dakshina? You cut off your thumb, right thumb, and give to me. Because for shooting arrows, you need to have, you have to hold the bow and you have to shoot the arrow by pulling the arrow. So if you cannot pull, then you cannot shoot. So of course one may shoot, but his expertise will be lost. So in this way, he took the thumb and Eklavya gave it to Guru because he wanted to maintain the prestige that yes, I obeyed the order of my Guru. So that was his motivation. Just to maintain his prestige of being a good student, he gave the thumb. Now, was Arjuna envious? Because Arjuna felt he is becoming more powerful than me. What will happen? So if he becomes more powerful, was he envious? Actually, Arjuna was not envious. Arjuna told Dronacharya, so Dronacharya promised that he will make me the best one. But here is somebody who seems to become better than me. So then your promise will be not kept. So he just mentioned to Dronacharya that your promise will be broken. So you can do something about it. So to keep the words of his guru, he reminded the guru. And Dronacharya also felt that he may be a threat to Kuru Vamsha. So that's why he took the thumb and then he made him weak. So that's what happened. So this was a little bit discussion about Eklavya, where we understand that character is more important than competence. So the character with which you use the skills is more important than even um, just acquiring the skills. Like many of you may be software engineers, you may be coding, you may be doing many things, but you should also know for what purpose that is being done. Like somebody is making software and that software is used to kill innocent animals in a slaughterhouse. That is wrong, isn't it? Somebody is making programs how to effectively kill the cows in the slaughterhouse. That is deadly, isn't it? That's like Ekalavya. But if one is making a software for propagating the message of God, for propagating peace and happiness in this world, that is good. Like we are making these wonderful softwares, somebody is making wonderful quizzes. So we are using that for propagating God's message. So that is good. That is like Arjuna using his skills. So one should become like Arjuna, not like Ekalavya. So I see many chat queries coming. So I'll take it at the end. After finishing the topic, we'll discuss those queries. Now, one day, Dronacharya called all his students and he said, so today will be the test for all of you. Surprise test. Like sometimes in college and school, they take surprise test, unannounced test. So he called everybody. And he had kept a wooden doll of a bird on top of the tree. So he called different people and he said, you have to hit at the eye of the bird. So they called first Duryodhan. So, Duryodhan, so are you able to see the bird? He said, yes, I'm able to see. Apart from the bird, what else are you able to see? So Duryodhana said, I see the tree, I see the branches, I see you, I see others also. So then Dronacharya said, okay, all right. So you come aside. Then Yudhishthira was called. Yudhishthira saw the bird. And Dronacharya said, what else do you see? I see the tree, I see the sky, I see the branches. So then he said, okay, you also come. So then Arjuna was called. So Arjuna, what do you see? Arjuna said, I see the eye of the bird. So Dronacharya asked, so apart from the eye of the bird, what else do you see? Then he said, I don't see anything else. Don't you see the tree and the bird's body and other things? Nothing. I'm just seeing the eye of the bird. Dronacharya becomes so happy. Arjuna, shoot. And he shot the arrow. And then he pierced the eye of the wooden bird. Dronacharya is so happy seeing the uh, focus of Arjuna. So in this photo, you will see that Arjuna is shooting the arrow here. Now, Arjuna is blue color. Actually, he is also bluish black, just like Krishna. Krishna is dark color. Similarly, Arjuna is also dark color. Draupadi is also dark color. So, so in that way, here Arjuna proves himself to be one of the best archers. So many times, sometimes what happened when Dronacharya taught Arjuna, Arjuna was practicing in the daytime, but in the one day in the night, Arjuna was eating and suddenly the lamp went off. And when the lamp went off, Arjuna still continued eating because hand was going to the mouth. Then he got an idea. Oh, I can eat in the darkness, then I can shoot in the darkness also. So then he started practicing in the night. Just in the night, darkness. He was hearing the sound and shooting at the place from where the sound is coming. So he became expert. So Arjuna is also called Gudakesha. Gudakesha means one who has conquered his sleep or ignorance, right? Physical sleep and also spiritual sleep. He has conquered. He is enlightened to spiritual knowledge. So that's Gudakesha. And his name is Savyasachi. Savyasachi means very expert, ambidextrous. Ambidextrous means we can shoot from left hand and right hand, both the hands. He can shoot. So that's ambidextrous. So, and Dronacharya saw the dedication of Arjuna. He was very happy. He said, this is a real student. So, real student is one who does his homework nicely and does more than what is expected. A first class, average student does what is told to you, told to him. And there is another higher level of thing who does more than expected, right? Exceeding expectations. That's the first class. Uttamas chintitam kuryat proktakari cha madhyama adhamo ashraddha dhana kuryat akuryat uchcharitam pitu. There is a verse in Bhagavatam which says, a topmost student, when the guru thinks something, he immediately does it. Even before guru says it, it is done. So that is the kind of dedication the disciple has. Second category is whatever is told, he will do. Okay, do this homework, he will do. So that is second class. Bring water, he'll bring. But Uttama, when he understands the guru is thirsty, he'll bring water. So that is Uttama. Madhyama, he'll do whatever is told. Adama, he will say, Hare, guru is telling me I have to do it. So he'll go lazily to the kitchen, get some water and bring him. So why guru keeps demanding? Can't he go and get water? So like that he will think. That is Adhamo Ashraddha Dhana. Without faith he will do, without any enthusiasm. And Akuryat, one who neglects One who says, hey, I'll not do it. He is called Uchcharitam Pitu. He is like a stool of his guru. Right? Stool, nobody cares about, he's like stool. You go to the bathroom, leave it and flush it out. Uchcharitam Pitu. The stool of a father, it is called, father or a guru. So in this way, Arjuna became a first class student of Dronacharya. He was practicing so expertly. So one day, Dronacharya went to take bath in river. And when he took bath, he chanted his mantras. And when he was about to come out, crocodile caught him. And jaws of the crocodile very strong; they'll not leave. So Dronacharya started calling for help, help. And all the children, all the students, they were scared. Hey, this crocodile is there. Then Arjuna, he was not at all scared. He took the arrows. He shot 5 arrows and killed the crocodile. And Dronacharya became very happy. Then he said that I will teach you the secret mantra of the Brahmastra. So Dronacharya gave Arjuna the secret, the topmost of the weapons, which is called as Brahmastra, which nobody can easily counteract. So those things were taught. And one day, so after the education was over, Dronacharya feels, okay, now the education is complete. Let's have a performance exhibition of the skills. So at that time, he comes to Bhishma and says that I have completed the teaching, and whatever I had given it. And Bhishma says, okay, let's have an exhibition. Call all the students, let them perform and show whatever they have learned. Right? So just like sometimes parents in home, they will ask child, Beta, kya pada tumne? What did you learn in the school? And child says, oh, then they become very happy. They call neighbors also and say, Beta, bolo, sing that song, tell that story, like that they will say. So similarly here also Bhishma, out of affection and to see the skills of the Pandavas, he made an exhibition. It was not a fight actually. It was just an exhibition of their talents. So very huge area was chosen, which was barren, and which had like dry trees kind of thing. And they made a very big stadium, and the stadium was covered with seats. Seats were placed, wooden seats with nice jewels on that, and there were nice golden thrones for all the leaders to sit. And in this way, there are nice flags and festoons and nicely decorated with flowers. It is a nice kind of festival happening there. So then everybody took their seats. All the citizens, many of them they came, and all the Kuru elders, they also sat. Bhishma, Kripacharya, then Vidura, then everybody sat, and Dhritarashtra also sat. And Dhritarashtra was not able to see. So he told Vidura, I will see through your eyes. Please tell what's happening. So then Vidura was narrating what's happening. So then they saw that no, Dronacharya is entering the stadium. And Dronacharya, the description of Dronacharya is very amazing here. It is said that he had white hair, white beard, white clothes, and he was looking like a moon entering into the assembly. And he was followed by Ashwathama, who was looking like Mars, Buddha, right? So Buddha Graha is a son of moon, Chandra Graha. So that's a father and son walking together. Like it was appearing like that. So, and Dronacharya had a lot of affection for Ashwathama because he was the only son. He gave a lot of affection to him. And actually, this is one reason because of which he fought on the side of Kauravas. Although he loved the Pandavas, Arjuna was his best student because Ashwathama was a close friend of Duryodhana. Dronacharya could not say no. And he fought with the Kaurava side. So here, Dronacharya, he came and then he said, he took the permission of everybody and then he called Bhima and Duryodhana to exhibit their power. So Bhima and Duryodhana, they brought their mace, Gada, and they started exhibiting different skills. And then they started fighting with each other. It was supposed to be a friendly fight. And they started fighting with the mace and showing different skills and movements. Sometimes they're jumping high in the air and then beating each other, that kind of thing. And Dronacharya saw that it's going for a too long time and it may become little more heated and real fight. He told Ashwatthama, go and stop them. So Ashwatthama went carefully in between and stopped them. So then all the crowd applauded, seeing the performance. Some were taking side of Bhima and some were taking the side of Duryodhana. So like that, two parties. Some were telling Bhim, some were telling Duryodhana, like that. And after that, he called Arjuna. And Arjuna came in the assembly. He was dressed in nice jacket, and he had this finger covers and everything, and he brought his bow and arrows. Then he took the permission of Guru Dronacharya, and he said, Dronacharya said, now you start exhibiting your powers. And Arjuna twanged his bow, and he started shooting his arrows, and he invoked different mantras. Right? It is said that he shot a Agni mantra, and then Agni appeared. Fire came in the stadium. And then he shot another Varunastra, and water started pouring, and it extinguished the fire. And then he shot another astra by which Parjanyastra, from which all the clouds came on the sky. Then he shot another astra by which the clouds were diffused. So, and then he shot another astra by which he created earth. Then he shot another astra by which he made a mountain. And then he finally shot another astra called Antardhana, which made everything disappear, which absorbed everything. And seeing this crowd was cheering, Arjun, 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 like that. And everybody is amazed seeing the skills of Arjuna. And it is said that he showed many other skills, wonderful skills. Um, and everybody was so satisfied, and Bhishma was thrilled seeing the exhibition of Arjuna. So at that time, when this was happening, so there's a fight between Bhima and Duryodhan, and here Arjuna is showing his skills. So at this time, when the crowd was cheering Arjuna, suddenly the door opens, stadium door opens, and one personality starts walking in. And he was very powerfully built, and he was looking effulgent, and he had broad shoulders, and he started walking like a king. He was walking, and everything fell silent. Then he came and came in front of Dronacharya and Arjuna, and he said, "Can I show my powers?" And Dronacharya recognized that he is Karna. Actually, Karna was also studying in the Gurukul of Dronacharya. He was also a student, but Arjuna was his favorite. So Karna said, "Can I exhibit my powers?" So then Dronacharya said, "Yes, you can exhibit your powers." So then Karna started shooting his arrows, and he matched Arjuna's skills. And crowd was cheering now. They found another personality who is powerful, as powerful as Arjuna. And then some people, again it became two parties. Some were cheering Arjuna and some were cheering Karna. So then after this, Karna says, actually Duryodhana comes and embraces Karna. And because Duryodhana wanted the support of Karna for fighting, because Duryodhana's only fear was Arjuna, because Arjuna is so extremely powerful. It's difficult to defeat him. If we found a contender who can fight against Arjuna, they'll be victorious. So Karna demanded, "Oh, if we have your permission, I want to combat. I want to fight with Arjuna right now." So then Dronacharya is wondering, this is not the time for fighting. This is supposed to be a friendly exhibition of power. So then it was become serious. So then Krupacharya interfered. He said, uh, actually fight is between equals. Actually Krupacharya did not want this fight to happen. So then Krupacharya said, actually you have to, please tell me your history, which king you are. Fight is between kings. And Karna put his head down. He said, I'm not a king. So at that time Duryodhana comes and he says, don't worry Karna, I will give you the kingdom of Angadesh. And right now here I coronate you as the king of Angadesh. And he touched water and he promised that yes, you be the king. And he put the throne and did Abhishek and everything, and then he made him the king. And Karna was so grateful. He said, Duryodhan, you are my real friend, my true friend. I just want your friendship. I don't want anything from you. And I'm so grateful for this. He said, actually, Duryodhana was utilitarian. Whoever helped him in his agenda, he was his friend. So he was very utilitarian. He'll use a friendship also for selfish things. So here, Duryodhana was not actually a true friend of Karna, and even Karna was, although he knew that Duryodhana was wicked, still he supported Duryodhana. So both had their own agendas. It is not true friendship actually. People say that they were true friends, but true friend is selfless. So here, this friendship is not true friendship. It's just utilitarian. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You help me, I'll help you materially. So that is false friendship. But true friendship you should see between Krishna and Arjuna, Krishna and Sudama. That is true friendship. How selfless and such love was there between these friends like Krishna and Sudama. That is true friendship, right? So here, after Karna was made the Angadeshka Raja, so at that time they come to know that he is a son of a Suta. Suta means a chariot driver, and his father's name was Adhiratha, and his mother's name was Radha. Actually, he was a son of Kunti, and when Kunti saw that Karna and Arjuna are about to fight, she fell unconscious because she could not tell anybody. She had not told anybody about this truth that Karna is my son. So now she felt unconscious. Now Bhishma again brought her back to consciousness, and then but Kunti could not say anything. And fortunately, by the time the sun set, and it's not the time for fighting, so the assembly was dismissed. So they went away. So this is the episode which happened during the martial exhibition. So that was martial exhibition, and after that, Dronacharya one day calls everybody. Actually, we'll continue discussion about Karna later in the future, uh, and we'll discuss more about him and his personality. Who is he, and what we can learn from his character. But now we'll discuss one important episode which happened in the life of Dronacharya. See, Dronacharya, when he was studying in his Gurukul as a student, Drupada, who was the king of Panchala, who was a prince of Panchala at the time, he was also studying in the same Gurukul. Actually, in Gurukul, the Brahmana's son, the king's son, everybody will study together. There's no discrimination. So they will study together and all has to do all the menial services and obey the Guru. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasandanto Guru Hitam. And they should stay in the Gurukul and serve for the pleasure of Guru. And then they will get the Vidya and then they will graduate. So like that. So Drona and Drupada, they are very good friends. And Drupada had made a promise to Drona that in the future I'll give you half of my kingdom because you are my such dear friend. I will give half of my kingdom to you. So that promise he had given. And as I had told you the story, so when Dronacharya was very poor, he did not have any facilities to provide to his family. Dronacharya goes to Drupada for help, and Drupada fails to accept him as his friend, and in fact he insults Dronacharya, telling him friendship is between equals. How can friendship be between a low class person like you, poor man like you, and a king? It's not at all possible. Get out of here. So he insulted him very badly and sent him away. And Dronacharya felt very hurt. Actually, denying the kingdom is okay, but insulting so badly, Dronacharya felt hurt and he wanted revenge. And that is the reason he came to Kauravas and he became the teacher of Kauravas, knowing that they are extremely powerful and they can defeat uh, Drupada. So now, today, he asks for Guru Dakshina. He says, now all of you students, 100 Kauravas and 5 Pandavas, I want Guru Dakshina from you. And that is that I want Drupada caught alive. Don't kill him, bring him alive. So that was the condition. So Drupada, um, I'll show you the photo here. Yeah, friendship of Drona and Drupada. So here, Drupada is insulting Dronacharya. Dronacharya is hanging his head down. So he comes to the Kuru Vamsha and he starts teaching all the Pandavas and Kauravas. And now all the students were very excited. Yes, we will go and defeat Drupada and catch him. So uh, Kauravas and Pandavas, 100 Kauravas and 5 Pandavas. And Karna also accompanied them. So everybody went. So when they went near the kingdom of Panchala, Duryodhana thought, we will go first. Because these Pandavas are only five, they cannot capture. We will capture and we will please our Guru. So they went ahead. So, and Yudhishthira told, let's wait. Pandavas will wait here. Let them go. And I know that they'll get defeated, they'll come back. Wagging their tail behind, they'll come back. So, so we'll wait here. So Duryodhana went along with Dushasan and all the 100 Kauravas and Karna. Everybody went. And Drupada understood that there is an attack happening on our kingdom. So Drupada immediately made the army ready and they start charging at the Kaurava army. And they start shooting so many arrows and so many expert warriors were there on Drupada's side. They chased the Kauravas and Duryodhana and all the 100 Kauravas, they came running out of the city. And seeing this, Yudhishthira, Bhima and Arjuna were smiling. You got defeated. Acha sabak sikha diya. So like that they were thinking. And then Drupada tightened his security. They made a wall of army, nice wall of elephants guarding the city from all directions. And now Yudhishthira tells Bhima, charge ahead, go ahead. So Bhima went ahead, followed by Arjuna, Yudhishthir, and Nakul Sahadev guarding on the other sides, either sides. So Bhima went ahead. Actually, there were big elephants standing, protecting the city. So Bhima went and knocked down like this. But he started beating all the elephants. The elephants started vomiting blood and falling down. And then behind, and Bhima was clearing the way, and behind Arjuna was coming with his chariot, followed by Nakul Sahadev. So in this way, they entered into the city. And they started shooting arrows. And the commander of Drupada's army, Satyajit, he also started fighting. And Arjuna shot so many arrows that Satyajit got wounded. And Drupada personally came to fight. And Arjuna shot so many arrows. He shot the arrows at the horses, killed them, shot the arrows at the charioteer and the chariot is broken. Then Arjuna jumped and tied the hands of, caught hold of Drupada and tied his hands and put a knife like this on his neck. And Yudhishthira said, yes, now he's captured. So let's take him to Dronacharya. And they took him to Dronacharya, and Dronacharya looks at Drupada, who is hanging his head down, his hand tied up. So at this time, Dronacharya says, so Drupada, I still want your friendship. So once you had refused my friendship, but you had told that in the childhood that we want to be friends, I will become your friend. But friendship can be between equals. So I will give you half. Now all the kingdom is mine. I'll give you half the kingdom and I'll keep the half. So he kept the northern part of Panchala with himself, Dronacharya, and the southern half he gave. And Drupada said, okay, I also want your friendship. I agree. So in this way, he felt very humiliated. And then later on, he was released, and Dronacharya gave the land which he has won to Ashwathama to rule, and the other part Drupada was ruling. But Drupada felt so insulted that he said, I also want revenge. So then he arranged for a yajna where a qualified Brahmana was called, and the yajna was performed. And the whole intention of yajna was to produce a child who will kill Dronacharya. So, and then Drishtadyumna was born. So Drishtadyumna was born to kill Dronacharya. And at the same time, another lady was born whose name was Draupadi Panchali. Because Drupada, when he was defeated by Arjuna and caught by the Arjuna, Drupada desires, what if I have a son-in-law as Arjuna? So that desire he had. So he wanted Arjuna to be married to his daughter. So he produced from the yajna a daughter who will be married to Arjuna. So next Saturday we will see the story of how Arjuna marries Draupadi in the Swayamvar. So that will be the topic of discussion for the next weekend. So here we will see that such dedication the Arjuna and the Pandavas had for his guru. So Dronacharya becomes so happy. So he takes Arjuna on his chariot and he feels so happy. And then Dronacharya says, I want one more Guru Dakshina from you. And Arjuna says, what is that? Dronacharya says, first you promise me that you will give that. And Arjuna says, yes, I'll promise. In the future, there will be a war. And you should not hesitate to fight against me. You should fight against me when the time comes. And Dronacharya says, Arjuna says, if it is your will, so be it. I will fight against you. So in this way, so Dronacharya also knew that in the future there is going to be dissension between Kauravas and Pandavas. And because he is supporting the throne of Hastinapur, he'll be forced to fight on the side of Hastinapura, Dhritarashtra. So same was the case with Kripacharya, and same was the case with Bhishma also. They had some vow to be on the side of the Hastinapura emperor. So they were forced to fight against the Pandavas. Although everybody loved Pandavas like anything, they're most dear to these personalities. So this was the situation of Dronacharya. So one lesson we can learn from about friendship from this pastime of Dronacharya and Drupada is that friendship should not be utilitarian. Friendship should be selfless. So here Drupada refused to accept Dronacharya as a friend. But on the contrary, you will see that Krishna and Sudama, they were also studying in the ashram of Sandipani Muni. And Krishna, uh, they had such wonderful loving exchanges in the Gurukul. But later on, he went on to become the king of Dwarka. And here Sudama remained a poor Brahmana, so poor that he did not have anything to eat also. So poor he was. In fact, when his wife says, Sudama, can you please go to Krishna? Krishna is your friend. He is the husband of goddess of fortune. So he will be able to surely help you. So Sudama goes to Krishna just to see Krishna and meet Krishna and be happy. So that was the intention with he went. And he went taking a gift. And what was the gift? Some chipped rice. So very cheap thing. Aulaki. Very cheap thing. He took it. And it is said that Krishna, when he heard that Sudama has come, he was so ecstatic, so happy that he placed him on his throne, washed his feet, and sprinkled the water on his head and all the people in the room. And Lakshmi Devi, Rukmini herself, was fanning chamar, doing chamar to Sudama. And Sudama was wearing tattered clothes. It was dhoti was torn in many places, and there were knots in the dhoti. But Krishna still embraced him and worshipped him. See, Krishna has no ego problem, no envy, no ego. So he did not think in what other people will say. He just welcomed him, right? Srimad Bhagavatam describes that nobody stopped him also. He directly went into the room of Krishna in his palace of Rukmini. And then Krishna and Sudama, they discussed their childhood days, how they went to bring firewood for their guru, and started raining and thundering, and they were stuck up under the tree, and whole night they stayed under the tree. So in this way, Guru came searching, Sandipani Muni came searching the next day and said, hey, Krishna Sudama, so much you have done for me. Etavadeva Sushrusha. In this way, the student should serve his Guru. Like that he said. And then because you have given your life for serving me, you have taken risk of your life for serving me, I bless you that whatever you study, you will remember it permanently. So like that, Sandipani Muni out of affection gave blessings to Krishna and Sudama. Of course, Krishna is the source of all knowledge. He doesn't need any blessings, but still he accepted the blessings of Sandipani Muni. So in this way, when we serve our Guru, our spiritual teacher, by his blessings, by his mercy, one can make lot of tremendous spiritual advancement. This is the secret of success. So one should serve the Guru with all his heart. Srila Prabhupada says that Srila Prabhupada, he went to America and he became successful in preaching. Srila Prabhupada says why he became successful? Because he strictly followed the order of his Guru Maharaj. His Guru told, go and preach in America. And Prabhupada, at the age of 70, he went and preached the message in the Western world, risking his life. A student, a disciple, Shishya should be able to risk his life for serving the Guru. So then he is called as a real Shishya. So we should, in our own heart, see what kind of Shishya I am. Am I just a namesake, formal student, or am I really a good student, connected heart to heart with the teacher, Guru, and trying to serve the mission and trying to propagate this message of God to everybody on the order of his Guru. So Srila Prabhupada, he followed the order of his Guru and he went abroad, went around the world about 14 times and wrote so many books and preached everywhere. So this is a real disciple. So here we will see that how Krishna and Sudama were real disciples of Sandipani Muni. At the same time, they were friends. So different students should have good friendship among themselves and at the same time be dedicated to the Guru. So Krishna and Sudama, they were carrying firewood in one hand and they were holding each other's hand with the other hand. And it was raining. So support each other and also carry the mission forward. So in this way, we can learn very wonderful friendship tips from Krishna and Sudama. And Sudama stayed in the house of Krishna for several days, but he never asked, I want money. He never asked. He was just happy being with Krishna. And then after some days, he returned back. And Krishna was wondering, Sudama came here, I didn't give him anything. So secretly, he gave him many things. Actually, Krishna was wondering, Sudama did not have anything in his home. He went and begged from other people some poha and gave me. And Krishna tasted it like nectar. He said, I have never tasted such a thing. Now, Sudama brought something which he did not have. Now, I have everything. Everything is what belongs to me. I'm the creator of everything. What can I give to Sudama? He was feeling ashamed. How can I reciprocate? So, Krishna, being very shy, he gave from the behind. And when Sudama reached home, he saw a very big palace and his wife wearing nice, costly silk garments and jewels and everything. So, in this way, Krishna gave so much. And Sudama did not become proud. What Sudama felt? Oh, Krishna gave me so much. And he continued remembering Krishna. He was remembering Krishna in poverty and in opulence. That's a devotee. Sometimes people forget when they get material facilities. They forget Krishna. But here Sudama was remembering Krishna even in opulent situation. So that's what we can learn from the friendship of Krishna and Sudama, and contrary to the friendship of Drupada and Dronacharya. So in this way, the Pandavas continue staying in Hastinapur, and their education was complete, but more challenges were coming, right? So Duryodhana became more envious, seeing that no, they were defeated and Pandavas won the battle with Drupada. So their envy increased. So they made more dirty plans for killing the Pandavas. So in the next episode, we will see the episode of Lakshagraha, where they were attempted to be burnt. Then we will see how they went into the forest. It's not the Vanvas after the gambling match. They went 1 year into Vanvas before the gambling. So we went into Vanvas for 1 year, and everybody in the Hastinapur thought that they were dead. And then Draupadi's Swayamvar, and they returned back to Hastinapur and establishing Indraprastha. So that we'll see in the next session. So what is the next Saturday? So next session is Into the Forest and Swayamvar. I think the date will be 5th of November. Yeah, that is the date. So we will again assemble on that date and continue this discussion. And there you will see how Krishna is also, you will see that Krishna is there all throughout, helping the Pandavas very, very subtly. So Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody, for your patient hearing. I hope you are liking it. So the essence of Mahabharata is Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll try to connect Mahabharata with Srimad Bhagavatam. Then it becomes complete. So there are many details in Mahabharata which are good if you know. But if you know the essence of Mahabharata, that is also wonderful. Mahabharata is voluminous, unlimited stories are there. So there is a question here. Anuradha Mother is telling, yeah. So somebody, yeah. Angadesh is modern day Bhagalpur, city of Bihar. Yeah. Somebody is saying Ashwatthama was killed by Krishna. Yeah, sorry, Eklavya was killed by Krishna. Yeah, so Krishna killed Ekalavya. It is mentioned in Mahabharata in Udyoga Parva. I read it today. So Krishna says that I became the cause of killing demons like Ekalavya, Jarasandha, and Shishupala, Dantavakra, Gatotkacha. He mentions all these names. So in that Ekalavya's names also comes. But the detail is not mentioned. Why and how he killed, that's not mentioned. But it just mentioned that Krishna killed Ekalavya. Uh, okay, Ashwatthama got NVS. Yeah, Ashwatthama became NVS. Dronacharya refused to teach Karna as he was not a Kshatriya. So he went to Parashuram as a student. Yeah, he went to Parashuram, but he told a lie to Parashuram that he is a Kshatriya, because Parashuram had taken a vow that he will never teach any Kshatriyas because Kshatriyas had become corrupt. So he says, I'm a Brahmana. But when he was sitting, one insect was biting him and he could tolerate the bite of the insect. Only Kshatriyas can tolerate physical pain. So Brahmanas cannot tolerate physical pain. So because Kshatriyas have well-built body, they can tolerate. So when Parashuram saw this, he said, hey, you lied to me? So then he cursed, saying that uh, because you have told lies to me, I have taught you all the knowledge, but at the right time you will forget the mantras. You know Brahmastra, but you will forget the mantra of Brahmastra. So your powers will be useless, like that he says. And another thing is Karna also had killed one cow of a Brahmana. And because of that, that Brahmana also cursed him, saying that at the right time, your chariot will be sucked by earth and your chariot will not be able to move. So like that, one curse was given to Karna. So why did Dronacharya do injustice to Ekalavya by asking his thumb? Why? Actually, as I explained before, uh, Ekalavya's mentality was different, and Arjuna was dharmic. Ekalavya was not dharmic. Ekalavya wanted to study that archery skills, ultimately to misuse it, just to show his power, and he would have used it against the Kuru Vamsha. And Dronacharya, being the teacher and the protector of Kuru Vamsha, he did not teach him. It is not injustice. It is like, suppose if a terrorist is there and you cut his hand so that he will not be able to shoot. Is that injustice? No, it is in the interest of the larger society. It is good, right? So punishing a terrorist is good. So you can see it in that light. Okay, although Eklavya was very expert in archery, but still the purpose for which he was learning and the purpose for which he would have used the knowledge was wrong. So that's why it was not good. Okay, so that's why Dronacharya cut the thumb off, asked the thumb of Ekalavya. So Yamaraj said that. And why did Krishna kill Ekalavya? I also answered that. Nagarajan sir is saying your narrations of events is so beautiful. Thank you very much. Suresh is telling why Yudhishthir kept secret about Bhima incident. Yeah, so if Bhima was poisoned, so if they come to know, if Kauravas come to know that they know the plots, they know our plots, Pandavas know our plots, then they may try to do more harm. So that's why they said keep quiet and we will not agitate the situation. And he also felt that because Dhritarashtra is the king, he may take the sides of his sons and he may also trouble us more. So that's why they Yudhishthir felt in this situation it's better to keep quiet because Pandavas did not have any power in the kingdom. So in that sense they kept quiet. Lakshmi Bhushan is asking, Prabhuji, you said that in Gurukul only people with pure mind and good character are taught. Then how were Duryodhana and other Kauravas taught? Even though they were Kshatriyas, weren't they full of envy? Yeah. So they were envious, but they were actually Duryodhana was serving them only. So Dronacharya was serving them, and they were the children of Dhritarashtra. So he had to teach them, but he did not teach them all the skills. Only to Arjuna he gave his 100% skills because he knew that this person is the right candidate for getting all knowledge. He did not teach anybody Brahmastra. Okay, only Brahmastra was taught to Arjuna and Ashwatthama. And Ashwatthama also knew how to shoot Brahmastra, but he did not know how to withdraw it. But Arjuna knew. So Arjuna got 100% of Dronacharya's teaching. And others, because Dronacharya knew that they were not qualified, he did not give them. So Guru also, according to the capacity of the student, he teaches them. And if he knows that this fellow is envious, he may misuse some skill, he will not give. So Dronacharya was expert in that. So he did not give all the skills. Even his son also could not learn everything from him. So Abhiram is asking, Prabhuji, who would be right in this case? Shooter presenting his skills at Olympics for the country, or army man using skills at the border for the country? Arjuna. Yeah, Arjuna is better, right? Right. Arjuna is better because it's for a higher purpose. Right. In the Olympics, person may want gold medal for himself. He is the center. But here, the country becomes the center. So Arjuna was like a person fighting for the country. It's a very good example. Geeta is saying thank you. Lakshmi pushing very beautiful. Didn't even realize the time. Okay. Hare Krishna. Gaurang is saying Hare Krishna. Omar Shankar Hare Krishna. Thank you. Agram is again asking Prabhuji, who? Okay, I already answered that question. Thank you so much, Namita. Thank you, Devaki, Balakrishna Matari, Deepti. Why the color of Krishna is bluish black? Krishna's color is Shama Sundara. Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna chooses that color. Right? Like some of you like red color, some of you like blue color, some of you like yellow color, pink color, different colors are there. Right? Why you like that? It's your choice. Similarly, Krishna also chooses that color, Shama Sundara. So black is very attractive, Shama Sundara color. She's saying, but Prabhuji, when Karna came to become Parashuram students, Parashuram understood that Karna was lying. I heard that Parashuram came to him later when he was sleeping on his lap, and then Karna's thigh was being bitten by insect, and blood was flowing, and Parashuram felt the wetness of the blood. Then he got up, and then he understood that Karna is a Kshatriya. So who is Karna's teacher? Parashurama or Drona? Yeah, both. Parashurama also, and he is there in. You can read Mahabharata there. Karna is one of the students of Dronacharya also. Abhishek, if anyone is interested in joining, okay, you can join the WhatsApp group. Abhishek Pura is posted here, so there we'll get more updates and interesting quiz also. Right, those who are joining for the first time today, in case you have not joined the group, please join there. We'll be sending interesting quizzes based on today's, and we'll also be announcing the toppers. And I'm also planning to give some gifts to the special top people, to those who are excelling in this quiz. We'll be sending some special gifts to you. Ekalava helped Drupada in the war against Pandavas. Okay, maybe. Leno is saying thank you, Nagashri. Parashuram had vowed against the Kshatriyas. And why did he train Bhishma? Yeah, so Bhishma is exceptional. So he personally trained Bhishma also. Actually, Parashuram was envious. Parashuram was against the Kshatriyas who were corrupt. But Bhishma was a very wonderful Kshatriya. Why he was against Kshatriyas? Because one Kshatriya called Kartavira Arjuna, who was a demonic personality, he was so powerful that Kartavira Arjuna even defeated Ravana also. So that much powerful he was. Once Ravana was camping nearby and Kartavira Arjuna stopped the Narmada river with his arms, thousands of arms. He had 1,000 arms, 500 on the left side, 500 on the right side. He stopped the river and the water overflooded and went into Ravana's tent. And he could not, and he came to fight and Kartavira Arjuna defeated him. So that Kartavira Arjuna, once he killed, it's a long story, it's given in Bhagavatam. So he killed his father Jamadagni. So Parashuram became so wild. So he Parusha, and with the speed of mind, he started chopping off all the Kshatriyas, all the soldiers, and he chopped off all the 1,000 arms of Kartavira Arjuna and killed. And his anger was not pacified. He went everywhere and thinking that Kshatriyas have become corrupt and they have the audacity to kill a Brahmana like Jamadagni. Actually, Kshatriya should be obedient to Brahmanas. See, Brahmanas should follow God, Kshatriya should follow Brahmanas, Vaishya should follow the Kshatriyas, pay tax to the Kshatriyas, and Shudras should assist the Vaishyas. In that way, the whole system will be appropriate. But here, because Parashuram felt that these Kshatriyas have become corrupt, so he killed everybody. But Bhishma was exceptional. So he trained him. Okay, very nice session, Suresh. Thank you, Suresh. Thank you, Krishna, Abhiram. Shivpurvi, last time I got disconnected when you were telling how there was Vyasa was born. Who are Vyasa's parents? Yeah, Vyasadev's parents are Parashara Muni and Satyavati. Satyavati is the daughter of that fisherman's community king. And once she was taking Parashar Muni on the boat, at the time Parashar Muni felt that it is the right time for the Lord to appear. And then he created with his mystic thing the kind of island where Satyavati was impregnated and a child was born who was Vyasadev. And instantly Vyasadev became big and he bowed down to mother and father and he took their blessings and went to Himalayas to do tapasya. And nobody knew about this except Parashara, that Satyavati had got a child who was Vyasadeva, the great Lord himself, Vyasadeva. So thank you, Dipti, Hemaraj, Anuradha Mahajan. Thank you, Arshab. Okay, Krishna, can we have this session translated in Kannada to benefit others also? Oh, I will try. I already have a lot of programs going on. So if I get time, surely we'll try to do this in Kannada also. Gauranga is not in the group. Can you click on that link? So you click on that link and you will get added to the group. Okay. Lakshmi, I brought the Krishna Dharma Mahabharat. I'm enjoying reading it. Very detailed. Okay, good, very good. So kindly read Mahabharata as well as Bhagavad Gita also. Now Gita Jayanti is coming, 25th of December is Gita Jayanti, and we're going to celebrate in a grand way. We'll tell you the program details so you can attend Gita Jayanti program. Okay, Ekalavya is the commander of Jarasandha's army. Okay, yes. Pooja, I got there in the group. Please add me. Yeah. Thank you, Sainidhi. Thank you, Shri Gayatri. Why did Parshuram marry Satyavati? So, did Parashar Muni marry Satyavati? It was not a marriage tie. It was a divine birth. Right? Even though Satyavati got a child, she maintained her chastity. So she maintained her sati chastity. So that was a kind of divine birth which came. Actually, in the past, the child could be born in many ways also. Nowadays, when man and woman unite, only then the child is born. But in the olden days, people had power to just produce child from mantra. They can just chant a mantra and child is born. And you eat a fruit and child is born. So that kind of mystical powers the sages had. So right now we have only one way of producing child, man and woman coming together. But there are many other ways also by which a child can be born. So Parashar Muni and Satyavati's union was divine, and through that this child was born. Okay, can you tell me about the birth of Shantanu? I had told last time in the first. You can hear the first audio recording. He was a king called Mahabhisha. Then he got attracted to Ganga Devi, and then Brahmaji cursed him that you take birth on earth. So then he came as King Shantanu. And Ganga Devi also came and got married to Shantanu. And then the 8 sons were born, and then the 8th one was Bhishma. So, is there any shloka reading with meaning session in future? Actually, we are not doing shlokas here. We are just doing stories and lessons. But there is another Gita series which we are doing, Bhagavad Gita, which I am taking, which is tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. So, if you wish, you can attend. Tomorrow we'll be discussing 14th chapter of this. Okay. So, can you post that systematic Gita course registration link here? So, okay. Okay, thank you, Shreya. I missed the beginning class due to net issues. Will the record? Yeah, we have sent the recording in the WhatsApp group. So kindly join the WhatsApp group. We'll get the recording there. It will not be posted anywhere. It is also, it's not publicly available. Only to those who are attending and in that group, they can watch this. Is there any other courses? Yes, I'm taking a Bhagavad Gita course. I'm taking a Mahabharata course. I'm launching a Kannada Gita course, 18 days, 18 chapters, starting from 7th of December. So if somebody is speaking Kannada, you can take advantage of that. Okay. Thank you, Rajeshri Angar. Thank you, Lakshmi, Gauranga. Guruji, can you again send 1 or 2 audios? 1 and 2 audios. Session 1 and session 2 audios. You can send the link again. Okay. Thank you so much. Guruji, Shantanu was asked by Brahmadev to choose his earthly father. Yeah, he chose. He chose. I think his name was. I'll just tell you. He chose one king called Pratipa as his father, and he was born. Yeah. Thank you, Gauranga. Thank you so much. Okay. Sridhar is saying, I'm reading Mahabharata by Purna Pragnya. Wonderful. Yeah, recordings will be sent in the WhatsApp group. Yes. Thank you, Subhashini Mataji, Suma, and Prashant, and Sridhar. So we'll end here now. Thank you very much for being with us. Hare Krishna. We'll meet again next Saturday.